With a $199 price tag, Windows Phone 7, and a pretty killer 16 megapixel camera, can the HTC Titan II compete in today's high-octane smartphone race? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and it's review time. Two Windows Phone devices on the same day. This is the HTC Titan II. It was available on AT&T as of April 8th, so the same time as the Nokia Lumia 900, although this was available for $199.99 with a 2-year agreement. So $100 more bucks than the Nokia Lumia 900, and at least as of right now, it's not available in any additional colors. It's just available in this gunmetal, which I think looks really nice, but you look at this in comparison to the Lumia 900, which is available right now in black and in cyan, and then available on the 22nd in white for $100 bucks. So you may be thinking, what are you getting for an extra $100 if you go with the Titan II as opposed to the Nokia Lumia 900? Well, we'll do a quick rundown of the specs here. This thing packs a 1.5 gigahertz single core Scorpion processor. It's operating off the Qualcomm Snapdragon S2 CPU chipset, and then it has a 16 megapixel camera. So here's one of the benefits: 16 megapixel camera on the back with 720p HD video recording and dual LED flash. It also has a slightly bigger display, although it's not as high resolution. And it has a 4.7-inch LCD with 480 by 800 pixels, and so you don't get those clear. The other one, to give you an idea, Nokia Lumia 900 has a 4.3-inch AMOLED display with clear black technology. So the AMOLED and the clear black technology, when you hold these side by side, you can really see it's a little bit black. The blacks are a little bit more black, and the colors pop a little bit more, although you get more screen real estate over here. So I can see this being really useful for somebody who's doing a lot of videos, or looking at YouTube on a regular basis, or listening to music, or browsing the web, something that requires additional screen real estate. This could be a great device for them. It's packing a 1,730 milliamp hour battery as well, and 4G LTE connectivity on AT&T, and I'll show you right here. So you can see LTE status indicator up there at the top. Then, like I said, 1,730 milliamp hour battery. So it's a little bit smaller battery as well. We'll talk about that a little bit in part 2. But the thing I was kind of curious about: bigger display, smaller battery. How's it going to hold up on a daily use test? And we'll talk about that in part 2. So to give you an idea of the design here, volume rocker over here on the right side, camera shortcut button. You've got your camera on the back, and it's kind of a hump on the back. It does, I wouldn't say it wobbles by any means. Wobble baby, if you get that joke. But you can see here, the camera does protrude out just a little bit. You got your Windows Phone logo on the back. You've got a little thing here which you can remove to access the SIM card, and of course that turns the device off as well, and you can see the SIM card. So non-removable battery though, so keep that in mind, much like the Nokia Lumia 900's 1,830 milliamp hour battery. Micro USB charging port over here, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up top, power button as well, and of course, like I said, a 4.7-inch display, front-facing camera, and then Windows Phone 7.5, also known as Mango. You got your 3 buttons down here at the bottom. You got your back button, your home button, and then your search button, which defaults you to Bing on Windows Phone devices, and then you got your earpiece up here at the top. So it looks a lot like a typical HTC device, although you see some improvements to the design as opposed to the original Titan. And of course, this is the real winner here, the 16 megapixel camera, which we'll show off in part 2. But before I get into that, some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this, for using our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile to get the Titan II or any other device, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your phone stuff, your messaging, your People Hub, your Hotmail, all that stuff. So when you walk out the door, you're good to go at Best Buy Mobile. They will get you all set up. So we'll take a look at what comes pre-installed in this device: AT&T Code Scanner, AT&T Navigator, AT&T Radio, AT&T Uverse Mobile, and then you can scroll down here and see My AT&T, HTC Hub, which is obviously an HTC thing. You got your Photo Enhancer, which is an HTC thing, and then YouTube, and then YP Mobile. Now, all the AT&T stuff, fortunately, can be uninstalled, but this is all part of a scheme that Microsoft refers to as Metro UI, or a color and design scheme that they refer to as Metro UI. It's intended to look like subway tiles, as you can see here, and you've got some rectangular tiles, some square tiles. Unfortunately, like I've talked about in previous reviews of Windows Phone, you can't change which ones are rectangular and which ones are square. You're not going to see a use case where messaging or Hotmail or your AT&T one, your phone one that is, could be rectangular because, hey, you could see your missed calls, you could see your missed messages or your missed emails right alongside the HTC Hub one here. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You can't do that just yet. Hopefully that'll be enabled in a later version of Windows Phone. But I've got the purple color scheme on right now, and in terms of personalization, just to give you a quick walkthrough, you can see the unlock screen here. Simply swipe up to get through that, and of course you can change this picture that you see right here. But whenever you get some notifications, you'll see those appear in the bottom corner here. Phone, missed call, for example, or missed text messages, missed emails will all appear down here in the bottom. And then my other little complaint about Windows Phone, which I talk about all the time, so if you watch these videos, you're like, shut up already and get over to the phone and some of the other features. But you'll see the status bar up here. You got LTE up top, and then you have your battery indicator. Well, unfortunately, two things. One, there's no way to keep that on the display. There's no setting that allows that to stay enabled. And if you're like me, I'm constantly in areas where I don't have signal strength. And I know, and to the Windows Phone people out there, I know when you don't have signal, it actually does pop down and show you that you don't have signal. But I want to know when I have 1 bar, when I have 0 bars, or it's getting choppy, and I'm like, why is the call getting choppy? You can't see that here, and then also you can't ascribe a percentage to the battery meter. So there's no battery status square or tile that is, or anything like that where you can put the percentage up here in the top. So two minor things I'd love to see in future versions of Windows Phone. Let's take a look at messaging though. We'll go into the messaging interface here and have a look, and let me pull this back really quickly so I can get rid of some of these. Actually, this is no big deal. These are both demos. Anyway, test contact, and then of course I have my one of my demo phone numbers here. And so I'll go into new message and take a look. You've got your typical Windows Phone keyboard here, although you have a nice 4.7-inch display to work with, and in typical Windows Phone format you have some buttons down here. And if you're ever at a point where you're like, I'm not quite sure what the buttons mean, you can come down to these 3 little dots here, which essentially act as right click on a mouse, and you can come down here and see send, attach, and speak. And then obviously if there are any more options, we'll go out, for example, and see in the main messaging folder here and see settings. You'll see all that stuff down here as well. So kind of a right click, think of it like that, and we can go into a new message, or we can text a group. So let's say you have colleagues. Let's say I want to text something to the Phone Dog people and say, everybody, I need this by tomorrow. This is the deadline. I can click on groups, hit Phone Dog, and it'll send text messages to anybody that's in that group. So any of the editors, anybody I've put in that group, and we'll talk about that in just a second in the People Hub. But overall, the keyboard I've been pretty impressed with. Fox is happy that it is Wednesday, which apparently I can't type. Let's try Wednesday. And of course, let's say, for example, this error that I made here, I can simply click on the word and correct it like that. So it makes for some really easy corrections when you're typing on a regular basis and you want to change these words around. The quack grown fox is ballet rust, it is Wednesdays. I found out that apparently my little Windows Phone mistypes here have turned into kind of a meme online. So there's one for you if you want to put it in the YouTube comments. And the landscape keyboard as well, but something else I pointed out for Windows Phone, the status bar here takes up some of the space, but hey, when the status bar stuff isn't there, it'd be nice if the keyboard stretched out into full landscape mode so you could take advantage of that full 4.7-inch display, but you've still got your buttons over here. And again, landscape mode should be perfectly fine as well. So for somebody with large thumbs or migrating over from a keyboarded device, whatever, the Droid 4, I guess it's the Droid 3 if you're migrating up to this, because Droid 4 is pretty new. This or a BlackBerry, you're migrating up, it should be perfectly fine in the keyboard department. I do want to point out the People Hub, because this is a huge staple of Windows Phone 7. Take a look at this. Obviously, apparently my recent calls go to myself, but I've got some stuff down here, test contact. I have family as well. I can click on that and I can create a group for my family. This is what I was talking about with the Phone Dog group, where I could come in here and say Sydney, Taylor, Evan, Alex, etc., interns and things like that, where I can come into the group and just say I want to text all those people, and I have that right there, and I can easily see their numbers. Now, here's Twitter, what's new, all my accounts, and of course my Twitter account's linked into this, so I can see all the Twitter stuff here, and I can reply, or I can see my most recent tweet that I have right here along with a picture. I can also see all this, not just through the People Hub, but also down here by clicking Me, and this is something I think is pretty cool as well. Here's my profile. I can post a message, I can check in. I am hello, how about hello from the Titan Review. So I can say hello from the Titan Review, and it says I'm going to post it to Windows Live and Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and post that, and it's going to post it, and then that should change over my Twitter update. And I can see the picture here as well. Notifications, all these people that have written me on Twitter, and then of course I can see what's new as well. So hello from the Titan Review right here from PhoneDog_Aaron, and it's available on Twitter right now. So that's a pretty cool little integration thing, and I like the fact that you can make your contacts your tiles as well. So let's say you call a special somebody on a regular basis, you can automatically put their tile on the home screen and easily access their contact card, so you can go in there and text or call relatively easily. Now Marketplace, we'll get into that in part 2. I want to show you the Internet Explorer, show you the browser as well, and we'll come in here and take a look. So PhoneDog.com loading up, of course, on AT&T's 4G LTE. And we can go in here to PhoneDog. We'll go ahead and click on this so we can go back to the main page. Overall, browser responsiveness has been great like any other Windows Phone handset. You've got your URL bar down here with the ability to stop, the ability to open new tabs, which you'll see it picks me up or leaves me right where I left off on PhoneDog, and I can do a new tab pretty easily and then scroll right back over and jump into PhoneDog when I'm ready to go. So pinch to zoom responsiveness has been fantastic. Transition effects are nice and solid. I love that little transition animation it does, you know, because even though it takes 1 or 2 seconds for it to transition over, kind of fools your eye into thinking it's faster than it actually is and really gives it a nice appeal aesthetically. So PhoneDog.com loaded there, of course. You can see very responsive on the browser front. But back to personalization. I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but I want to cover this before part 1 is over. Take a look at the home screen. You can do some minor customizations here to this. For example, HTC has their hub here where I can come in. You're going to recognize immediately the HTC clock. You're going to recognize some weather stuff. For example, I can come in here and see what the weather is in Charlotte. It's supposed to be freaking cold tonight, 36 degrees. That's crazy for spring weather. But I can see kind of the stuff that I've seen on some of HTC's Android devices, because obviously Microsoft is pretty strict about their customization and what they allow in Windows Phone 7. But let's say, you know, I don't want it right there. I want to move it down. I can press and hold and shift it all the way around and put it right there, for example. Or I can put it right back where it was, and I can bring it right up here and then shift it there. Likewise, I can move this stuff around. I want Internet Explorer there. I can do all this stuff pretty quickly and pretty easily, and I can also change the color of the tiles and the background. Still kind of limited in the personalization department, because you'll see here I can change the theme, and let's change the color to, you know, brown, for example, and then I can change the background to light. So I can do some basic things like that, but outside of those customizations and outside of the little wallpaper you see when you turn the device on, you don't really have a whole lot. You can't have a background wallpaper here outside of the dark or light colors. And these are the kind of things where I'm like, hey, you know, as we get into Windows Phone 8 and some of the future versions, you know, or hey, even if there are minor updates to 7.5, I'd like to see that available in some of the future versions, because hey, personalization is always good, and especially coming from a device like HTC where they specialize in that, I'm sure that's something they want to do as time goes on.